Your initial consultation free?
Yes, it's free. And the reason it's free is that I try to make sure that anybody that comes in my office is not worse off because they came in. And so to prevent that, I make sure that the initial consultation is free, because it seems to me it would be totally unfair if I had you come in for me to decide if I want to take your case or not, and then charge you a fee when I said, no, I won't take your case. Of course, if I said I would take your case, then that problem is solved. But I don't charge anything for the initial consultation.
Okay. After we meet and I like you and you like me and I decide to hire you, what can I expect you to do for me after hiring you?
Well, the first thing I would do is make sure that I have a copy of the accident report, because that gives me a lot of information. I would ask you to do the thing that's most important to you, which is to get well. It's much better that you have a little case and get well than have a big case where you have a permanent problem that follows you for the rest of your life. If I get the case early enough so that I can send a court reporter to traffic court, I'll do that, because frequently people go to court and they want to get a low fine, so they do what I call George Washington and the cherry tree. We all know that story. What happens is they go there and they tell it like it is. And then later, after the defense lawyers worked with them, you can tell it's the same accident, only because it's the same day, same place, same time, same cars, and same people involved. Otherwise, when the defendant says how it happens, a lot of times it will be totally different from what he said in court.
Your fee, how does that work? If you settle my case or if you take my case to trial, what is expected of me to pay you?
Well, I work on a contingent fee basis, and that's like parts and labor. If I don't fix it, you don't pay any fee. You would be responsible for the costs, whether I win or lose. I don't expect to lose. If I was going to have a case I thought I'd lose, I'd rather not take it and just go fishing. So let's talk about what the costs are. The costs are things like filing suit, maybe getting copies of x-rays, copies of medical records, sometimes photographs are enlarged, any of those kind of things. The big cost, the big expense in going to court is having expert witness go, and they charge several $1,000s to give you their testimony, and that's something that we can't avoid.
Okay, the bigger cost, will I be expected to pay those up front, or do you advance those?
Well, I generally advance the bigger costs, and that usually doesn't come into play until we're getting pretty close to going into the courtroom, and then we have to pay the experts to come and testify for us.
Okay, as far as my treatment, am I expected to call you or your staff to keep you advised, or will someone from your office be calling me?
Well, I'd like for you to call and tell them what your situation is, because you're going to know that your situation as it develops. If you've changed doctors, we need to know it. If you have moved, we need to know it. If your telephone number has changed, we need to know it. We will, of course, be in contact with you. Sometimes you have a question, and if you have a question, I'd like for you to ask my paralegals when you call in, because on a day-to-day basis, they're probably more up-to-date on the matter than I am, and they'll just give you the answer if they know it. If they don't know the answer, then they will ask me, and what we'll do is we will schedule a time for me to call you, and that way it's better for you. You aren't sitting around all day waiting for me to call you. You can know when you're going to be called and be there, and it's better for me because likewise it doesn't interrupt the work that I'm doing for other folks just like you. It avoids us having to pay a telephone tag, and best of all, you won't be getting an answer off the top of my head. I'll actually have time to think about the answer to your question and give you a much better answer if we schedule a time for me to return a call.
After I'm released from treatment, how quickly will my case settle?
Well, we always try to plan for the worst and hope for the best. The best case scenario is your case does settle. The worst case is you would actually have to go to court. If you have to go to court, in most of the jurisdictions around here, it takes a year from the time you ask the judge for a trial date until you actually get a trial date.
Okay, I understand there's a smaller claims court. Would my case be heard quicker in the smaller claims court?
If you have a case that's worth $15,000 or less, you can go to General District Court. If you went to General District Court with your case, you would probably get a court date within, say, 3 months of when you asked for a court date.
Okay, if my case settles out of court, how quickly will I get my settlement?
Well, I hope as quickly as possible, because I'm working for you, and I'm getting my fee from the money that I get for you, and we'd both like to get paid as soon as possible. I can't have no control over how quickly the insurance company would write the check, but usually they write it pretty promptly. Once we get the check, you're looking at 5 banking days before I can write you a check. Under some circumstances it might take longer because there might be a lien or some other complication, but if everything runs as smooth as silk, you'll get your check 5 days after it's received in the office. That's 5 banking days.